Stelvio Pass. The Stelvio Pass, or Passo dello Stelvio in Italian, is the second highest paved mountain pass in the Alps. The road zigs, zags, zip, zaps, and zooms for about 29 miles up and over the Ortler Alps in northern Italy, just along the Swiss border. While not ranked highly among most scenic passes in the Alps, it's considered one of the most dramatic and challenging to drive, thanks to its 48 death-defying hairpin bends. The road is an old one, having been built by the Austrian Empire between 1820 and 1825 to connect the then Austrian province of Lombardy, modern-day Italy, with the rest of the country. Just as it does today, it climbed for about 6,100 feet from its base up to the snow-covered mountain pass. Just imagine trying to go over this strange road on a horse and buggy back in the day. Or even worse, on foot. The Stelvio Pass has been regarded as an excellent driving road for drivers looking for a challenge. Since August 1898, it's held a hill climb event where drivers in the old days could only reach a top speed of 20 miles an hour. But races hit the brakes when World War I began and the forces of the Austro-Hungarian Empire and the Italian Kingdom fired at each other from across the hills. In true Swiss fashion, the Swiss complained about the stray bullets coming their way, and so the Austro-Hungarians and Italians agreed to only fire at each other down the valleys, so as not to endanger the neutral Swiss. Sometimes all you have to do is ask, I guess. Well, thankfully for the speed demons and daredevils, racing returned to the Stelvio Pass after the war. Old-school cyclists also compete along the pass, most famously in the Giro d'Italia, which crossed the Stelvio Pass on 12 occasions between 1953 and the present day. The Stelvio Pass began to attract widespread international attention in 2008 when the popular British television show Top Gear named it the greatest driving road in the world. Since then, serious drivers have come to Italy to take on the pass, despite the Top Gear team changing their minds in 2009 and giving the title to the Transfiguratian Highway in Romania. Number 10. Guoliang Tunnel. Now, back in the day, the only way to reach the Chinese village of Guoliang is to take the narrow and treacherous path that was carved right into the side of the Tianghan Mountains. And while that may have been one hell of a scenic route, the trek was as long as it was arduous, and one false step meant sudden doom. The local villagers weren't waiting for the help of the government to get things done. A small group of people put their heads together, and in 1972 they started to dig a tunnel. Because why go around the mountains when you can just go straight through them? The group was small, made of just 13 humble people, and while they wanted this tunnel dug during more modern times, the people of Guoliang didn't have access to things like excavators, bulldozers, or something as seemingly trivial as dynamite, so the only thing they could do was to get digging by hand. That's right, it took 26 hands 5 years to dig a tunnel about 3/4 of a mile long, 16 feet tall and 13 feet wide. So the Guoliang Tunnel may not be the biggest in the world, but considering how it was built, you have to tip your hat to the people who created it with their bare hands. And at the most difficult stage of the dig, the group was only able to dig about 3 feet a day. The entire endeavor was so tough, 3 people even died in the process. In the end, not only did this tunnel in the mountain change the lives of the villagers, giving them better access in and out, but the tunnel has become a big tourist attraction over the last few decades. But the tunnel does lack barriers and lamps, so drivers enter at their own risk, especially at night. It's become such a harrowing road that the locals lovingly refer to it as the road that does not tolerate mistakes. Number 9. Cardong La. 1,000 prayer flags blowing in the wind, a small shrine, an obligatory gift shop, and the extreme elevation on the official Cardong La signpost welcome visitors to a view at the top of the world. Over 17,500 feet high on the west side of the Himalayas, you'll find this windy roadside marker looking down on glaciers, and a few people celebrating their long journey, something only they can ever truly understand. This is the top of Cardong La, or the Cardong Pass, which claims to be the world's highest motorable road at 3.3 miles above sea level. It's a great yet still horrifying strange alternative to climbing Mount Everest. If you're looking to conquer this place, you don't need months of training or tons of supplies to make the journey. You just need a car. Well, maybe a little more than that, because despite being the milder cousin to the Everest climb, this is no ordinary road. This roadside point can be accessed in your own car, but a few days at a lower altitude to acclimate your body to high elevation is an absolute must. Oxygen tanks are also a pretty good idea, even if you're just traveling the roads below. The last thing anyone wants to do is to pass out from altitude sickness while behind the wheel, because remember, what goes up must come down. Like many other extreme places, there's some dispute over how accurate the title of the highest road is. The official government sign claims an elevation of 18,380 feet, but with modern GPS it's widely understood that the pass is actually 17,582 feet high. Thanks, technology. Other adventurers can even dispute the very definition of what a general road is and claim nearby roads are higher if you have a four-wheel drive to make it up. But don't let those nerds ruin the fun, because regardless of the claim, the drive to this marker on top of the world is one of the best. Cardong La is the high spot on the road as it passes from Leh to the Nubra Valley. From the pass, you can continue down to the valley below, where you may find camels left behind from the Silk Road days. So not only is Cardong La strange, it also offers a one-of-a-kind glimpse into the past. Number 8. Kolyma Highway. Holy moly, the Kolyma Highway. The Kolyma Highway is the name of a very exciting adventure running from Yakutsk to Magdan in Russia. But take that word exciting with a few grains of Soviet salt, because Yakutsk is home to the coldest temperatures ever recorded outside of Antarctica. But that fact doesn't even stop people from living there, and despite it being one of the coldest reaches of human civilization, the Kolyma Highway was built by prisoners using nothing but hand tools in the 1930s. Hopefully they were wearing some kind of gloves. But all jokes aside, the construction of the road is one of the darker moments in Soviet history. The road has been given a few names over the years, with many locals simply referring to it as the Trasa or the Route, but many others call the Kolyma Highway the Road of Bones. The bone-chilling nickname speaks to the road's tragic history. It was built by hundreds of thousands of political prisoners who were exiled to the region's gulags under the Stalin regime from the 1930s to the 1950s, under the Dalstroy Construction Directorate. The first stretch was built by the inmates of the Savostlag labor camp in 1932. The work was done with very rudimentary methods like shovels and wheelbarrows, despite having access to better technology. Make no mistake, being tasked with building this road is one of the worst punishments the regime had to offer. The construction was continued by inmates of gulag camps for the next 20 years. Thousands were killed by prison guards for not working hard enough, while others died from the gulag's brutal conditions. The cold was another killer, with temperatures recorded as low as some -70 degrees Celsius. Many who died here were simply buried beneath the road's foundations. Today it's said that the Kolyma Highway cost one death for every yard of road built, so driving across the long road means traveling over a colossal mass grave. The road is treated as a memorial, as the bones of the estimated 250,000 to 1 million people who died while constructing it are there. Number 7.